Hey guys, Paul at Porter's Camera here. I want to tell you about this Canon Powershot G1X. I had an opportunity to field test it just last weekend at that NCAA basketball tournament in Greensboro, North Carolina. I had to take a camera that I could smuggle into the stadium. I didn't have a press pass. That meant no pro gear. So I was trying to think what would be a good unit to field test, and I came up with this G1X. Why did I choose it? The monster sensor it has. This is the one with the 14.3 megapixel, 1.5 inch CMOS sensor. It's running that new Digic 5 processor. Now the Achilles heel was my seats were about row mm, so I was mid-court, a little way up into the lower part of the bowl. And the zoom lens on this is the equivalent of a 28 to 112 millimeter if we're thinking like a film camera in our head. Normally that would be pretty good, but to get close crop shots under the basket, that might have been the one place where this thing let me down. Until I discovered that when you engage the 1.9 power internal teleconverter, you can get in closer on the action. So I turned that on, and when you're zoomed out on this lens, another thing is that it's an f5.8 maximum aperture all the way zoomed out. So I'm not sucking a whole lot of light in. So what I did to overcome that is I went ahead and creeped the ISO up, and I think I was shooting at 3200 and 6400 ISO. But because of the size of that sensor, you know, it was pretty clean. And I'll have some example photos here. Check these out. Yeah, so those are example photos of the still capability. Now I got to admit, I took some of those photos into Lightroom just to crop in a little bit further, but with the 14 meg sensor I was able to do that and it was clean. So let's talk about that ISO range. You know, this thing's going to go all the way up to 12,800 ISO. You can record in JPEGs, you can record in RAWs. The RAWs are 14-bit too. I shot everything in JPEG though. And the video's pretty good too. You know, this thing does 1080 video. And I had an opportunity to go to this cool Revolutionary War reenactment thing. And so I shot some video footage there. But again, I was kind of let down by the zoom power of the integrated lens. Couldn't change it out, right? Because it's a fixed lens on this unit. So I turned on that 1.9 internal teleconverter. There's also a 1.4 to get better onto the field and recorded this quick pan of the reenactment. It was pretty cool. Check it out. Okay, so some other things about this camera that I just wanted to point out is I do like the fact that it has an eye-level viewfinder. I found that to be pretty good when I'm tracking the action for the sports stuff. But it's a small viewfinder and it's blocked by a big chunk of the lens. Okay, so as you zoom out the monster lens, it's going to be in the way of the eye-level viewfinder. In fact, even when it's zoomed back, you still see it in the corner. But for tracking action and motion, I still prefer that to using the screen itself. But the screen is one of those flippy variable angle LCD screens, which turned out to be a real bonus when I was shooting that reenactment, because there were people in front of me and I had to get up over their head, and so I could position it real high, tilt the thing down so I could see it with my face. And so that turned out all right. The poppy-uppy flash that it has, I didn't actually have an opportunity to experiment with. I shot everything with available light because I wanted to push it to see how the ISO would be. And to be honest with you guys, I was pretty darn impressed. So, in retrospect, was this a good smuggle camera? Yeah, you can get it into places where they have limitations on the focal length of your lens, or whether or not you can even use detachable lenses. So that worked out well. The ISO astounded me for a compact. My only thing is I wish it would have a little bit more reach. Maybe a Micro Four Thirds or a J1 Nikon something. An interchangeable system camera might have been better in that scenario. And the video, you know, it really impressed me. Buttons, knobs, and switches, they all fall into really handy places. Exposure compensation dial right here underneath the main command dial where you can jump into the different shooting modes. Now I shot the sports stuff pretty much entirely in manual mode just so I could have consistency. So I dial in that ISO, and I had a shutter speed right around a 500th of a second. That was I was aiming for at that f5.8. So we also have a dial here for changing, you know, aperture or shutter speed depending on what you want. It's right on the front there. And then your other wheel is right on the back. Everything falls into place pretty conveniently. So yeah, that was my experience with the Powershot G1X. I thought for a compact camera, man, this thing really rocked and rolled. In retrospect though, a compact system camera when you have to shoot quickly, okay, and you need a little bit more reach might have been a better idea. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you have any other questions, you know, you can buzz us at the shop or check out the specs on our website.